Welcome to the Global News Podcast on YouTube, where we go behind the headlines of a story and tell you why it really matters. I'm Uncle Desai, and on this episode, we're in France to ask the question, could Marine Le Pen still challenge for next year's French presidency? A high-stakes court appeal by the far-right leader has begun in France, and she's challenging a decision that banned her from running for public office for 5 years. Let's dive deeper into this with Hugh Schofield, our correspondent in Paris. Hugh, a massive moment for Marine Le Pen, but just tell us how she's got herself into this precarious position.
Right. Well, to answer that question, we need to go back a year to the original court case, the original trial at which she was convicted. What she was convicted of was we're saying embezzlement. That means misusing public money, money that wasn't hers or her party's. Now, not for her own ends. There's no question of her privately enriching herself in this way. It was money from the European Parliament, where she and her party have had a number of seats. Money that was supposed to go to pay for parliamentary assistance in the European Parliament, she and her party were systematically using to pay their own staff members. Quite a technical thing, but it's against the law. Basically, she was using parliamentary money to pay for her party, for political ends. And as a result of this, she and a number of her colleagues in her party were convicted. It's the hard right party, the populist right party, the nationalist party, the anti-immigration party, which, as everyone knows, has been doing extremely well in recent years in France, with parallels, of course, in other countries around Europe, to the extent where she personally is hotly tipped as a future French president. Marine Le Pen, who the daughter of Jean-Marie Le Pen, who founded this party so long ago, it is not impossible that were she able to run in the election next year for the presidency to take over from Emmanuel Macron, that she would win it. But along comes this court case, which has completely put the kibosh, an old expression meaning ruined, her hopes. It said that she would be ineligible to run for office for 5 years. This appeal, therefore, which has started behind me in the Palais de Justice today, Wednesday, which has started just behind me here Wednesday, this appeal is her last chance of getting that conviction and that sentence overturned so that she might have a chance to run in next year's elections.
And Hugh, this is really a pivotal moment in Marine Le Pen's career as well. For people who don't know, you touched upon it there, a huge legacy name in French politics. What are the implications for her political career if this appeal fails?
Well, of course, you're absolutely right. I mean, her name is synonymous with her party. It was the National Front, now it's a National Rally. She is someone who has emerged from her father's legacy in the last 20 years. For so long it was Jean-Marie Le Pen who dominated everything with his far more extreme and loudmouthed, aggressive form of far-right politics. She has taken over his party, made it far more acceptable by shunning and shedding, she thinks, his legacy. She says she's moved on from that, made it much more of a mainstream hard-right populist party. And she has, of course, done that very successfully, because in the last 20 years, it has gone from strength to strength, to the point where the National Rally, renamed from the National Front, is now, over and over again proving this, the biggest party in French politics. Something inconceivable 10, 20 years ago, but it is the case. The RN, National Rally, is the biggest party in French politics, wins elections, and could easily bring her to the presidency next year. So this court case here is pivotal for her career. If she gets the result she hopes for, which is either an acquittal or a lesser sentence, she would be free to run next year, and it's by no means certain she would win it at all, but it would be the closest and best chance she'll ever likely to have of winning the election. She's run 3 times in the past already, been beaten each time, because what happens to the hard right, populist right in France is that invariably their enemies come together to keep them out. That's far less likely to happen at another election. It could still happen, but it's becoming less and less likely every time there is a new election, and their numbers keep going up and up. So it's a very strong chance that the country could have a populist right president next year. That was her. If the court does not go her way, though, she won't be able to do that. She'll be banned from running. And we have a whole different kind of picture ahead of us with her young lieutenant, Bardella, taking over the reins. And I'm sure we're about to talk about him now.
Yes, and I wanted to mention Jordan Bardella, 30 years of age, her protege, the president of her party, and with a lot of opinion polls suggesting in France that if he were to lead the party, that they might stand a greater chance of securing victory in the race for the presidency next year.
It's surprising, but it's true. Jordan Bardella, on paper, if you follow the polls, is actually a better placed candidate than Marine Le Pen. I mean, that's against all kind of conventional wisdom, because everyone has always said, well, hang on a sec, Marine Le Pen is a historic figure and all this. She's brought the party together. She's succeeded in making the transition to being a kind of mainstream populist right European party. She's got the courage, she's got the name, she's got the fighting spirit. She holds the party together, and without her it would split up into all sorts of different factions. How could he, the 30-year-old who's never ever done anything except be a kind of politician, how could he, and has never held office, how could he be better than her? Well, the truth is that apparently, and it may well be to do with the changing nature of our electorates, the changing nature of the media, the emergence of social media and the ability to project oneself on social media is such an important factor in all of this. It could be that that's what's changed things, but the fact remains that in the polls, he actually does better than she does. Now, you've got to be slightly careful here, because, these polls are taken now. I mean, it's all, just up in the air. People can say whatever they want. In a campaign, with all the pressures that brings, and all the questioning and in analysis of party positions, and the need to project yourself in debates with other much more experienced party leaders, in that environment, would he thrive quite so well? That's a different matter. And there are people who think that he's an ideal candidate in theory. In practice, it might still all come crumbling down were he to take over from Marine Le Pen as the hard rights candidate in next year's election. But all you can say is that right now, there is an immense strength in the party. And I say this not to defend it, not to push it, just as an observation. There's an immense strength in the party that it has two people who seem quite happy to interchange one to the other. Marine Le Pen says, if I can't do it, he'll do it. He says, I'll do it if I have to, but right now she's the candidate. They are maintaining a united front, which suggests that there is a strength in the party which other French parties do not have. Other French parties historically fall apart in bickering between their leaders. These two leaders of the National Rally are pretty tight.
Hugh, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Hugh Schofield, our Paris correspondent. If you're interested in more world stories like this, do check out our Global News podcast. You can download it from wherever you get your podcasts from. And do give this video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Thanks so much for your time.